Greetings and hallucinations to my fellow FAF players. Today I have a 1 versus 1 on Twin Rivers. Much loved map. Almost, you could say, overplayed, but it is a good map and extremely hard to play 1 versus 1, a good test of skill. You do have the split down the center, plenty of room for run-bys. Island expansions, the choice of navy if you so desire to use it, and the map is big enough that air does play a very big role. So this is a true test of skill between two 2K players. We have MrSmith and Embers, a SpeedRun versus Aeon matchup. You do not see these very often. I would have to say that Embers is going to have to do a very good job of kiting and microing his Auroras, because Auroras with that measly little 140 HP die very quickly to Mantis, because the Mantis are able to overtake them. Also, SpeedRun bombers are pretty lethal to groups of Auroras. Bombers in general strong versus Aeon. I'm sure we'll be seeing some of that from MrSmith as well. Let's go ahead and zoom in and look at the build orders here and see where these guys are headed. Embers, the red Aeon looking like second air. Yes. Second air with a whole lot of P-gens, and then another land factory. MrSmith going for slightly less P-gens, probably going to depend on a little bit of manual reclaim in the trees. And then another land factory for him as well. And we're seeing a little bit more aggressive posture taken up by MrSmith right at the beginning of the game, pushing out these hunters. Embers is taking the cautious but practical route, sending out an Aurora and a scout to cover for his expanding engineer. You definitely do not want to lose those on Twin Rivers, especially versus a SpeedRun opponent. Run-bys will be the death of you. They upset your build, they disorganize your system, throw a wrench in the works, whatever you want to call it. It does not end well. MrSmith pushing out a bomber first from his initial air factory, and he is going to try to pick up engineers, I am sure. Pushing that scout ahead, picking up an engineer kill right here at the top left, and then zipping around the back to pick up the rear expansion engineer as well. And that is going to put a major slowdown on Ember's growth. Embers is finally able to drop that off. He was a little bit later to air, but he has come back from it. Now it's 2-2 interceptors, and there are no more bombers. So the airplay is over for the moment. Down here we do have a nice little group of Auroras facing off against some Mantis. While the Auroras are in higher numbers, the Mantis really don't stand a chance, since the Auroras can reach out quite a bit further and hit them. Although there is not a scout with this group. There's one coming to the front ASAP from Embers. You do have to keep radar coverage with your Auroras, since range is their strength, and the range is longer than the vision radius. So Mantis coming up. Excellent timing on that point defense, forcing those Mantis back over into this group of Auroras, but the run by, the dreaded overpowered advantage of SpeedRun, pushing those Mantis right past the troops, right past the ACU, picking up 2 mass extractor kills, headed towards the back for a third and possibly some engineers. And over here we did see the same kind of denial going on, a point defense thrown up right in the middle of that expansion. The point defense is the Achilles heel of the Aeon Aurora. I believe Pilot posted a replay at one point where he had a point defense with walls around it that got close to 100 kills on Auroras. Granted, there were some other minor distractions nearby, but that is pretty dang impressive. That is one of those instances where half the health for the same price definitely is a disadvantage. MrSmith picking up the northern expansion, and Ember's picking up the southern. That is going to look like a straight 50-50 split on map control, and the eco looks pretty similar as well. Ember's looks like he's pulling slightly higher numbers than MrSmith, but that could be the reclaim playing tricks on our numbers. Ember sucking down 6K. MrSmith only at 3,500. Advantage Ember on the reclaim. It looks like both sides have decided that this is going to end up being a stalemate. We are seeing T2 P-Gens go up. We're seeing T2 mass extractors and tac missile defense just on the offside chance that one of the players sneaks a tac launcher up somewhere. The defensive posture is a good one in a situation like this. You want to hedge up your bets and hopefully sustain your territory and not lose anything. We are seeing a transport coming directly to the back here. That is carrying Auroras, it looks like. Yes, it is. 1 scout, 5 Auroras rushing forwards. They're going to knock out all of these engineers, but there are 3 T2 engineers rushing a Cerberus. That is going to put a quick end to those Auroras, only losing 1 Mex. T2 land for both players. At first it was only engineers, but now we are starting to see some stealth and some rhinos on the south and some obsidians and a flak or 2 from the north. Obsidians ridiculously strong versus T1. One-shot kill basically any T1 unit that you can field. They are the Percival of the Aeons, that 4-second time lapse between shots, and then I believe it's like 460 damage per shot, something like that. It overkills T1 units with about 100 damage wasted. And the face-off continues. Embers is going to have to do a lot of scouting and keep a good eye on this because there are stealth units mixed in there, so if he's not careful that could sneak by him. MrSmith has decided that walls are his friend, and he is going to close himself in as much as possible, stringing in between these 2 rocks to force units in this direction. That is going to push them directly into his T1 point defense, but Embers has made a very wise move and included T1 mobile artillery in his attack force. That is going to be able to drop those point defense no problemo. And he is going to continue his push. T3 for MrSmith as well as Embers. We're seeing the first Harbingers on the field, some mobile shields, and even a sniper bot. Had to see how he makes use of that. And then we're seeing the traditional brick for Cybern, that unbeatable attack platform. Well, unless you're versus Percivals, but you're not. And T3 power generators going up. I have no doubt that we will be seeing T3 air at some point very soon. Harby drop on the northern side. There is nothing up there that can stop that. That is going to wipe out that whole expansion of MrSmith's. And here we have a transport headed south with a brick. Talk about mirror image play. That is pretty funny. They're both going to lose their expansions to the other players. Oh, so sad. That was a Harby on that transport. That could have done a lot of damage if it hit the ground, but unfortunately there were interceptors there waiting. Don't do that, MrSmith. Stop. Stop. You're getting hit by T1 artillery. You need to move. Shedding over half the health on that brick. Fortunately, though, it looks like Embers wasn't paying a whole lot of attention and stopped firing. He could have potentially killed that thing. T2 gunships coming south. Looks like roughly even air numbers. I'm not 100% sure, but I would have to say that looks like about 30 interceptors and about 25 maybe. I will double check. Nope, only 15. Air advantage, MrSmith. He is able to deny this Harvey run by with these bricks. Bricks are definitely much stronger than Harbingers. You need an overwhelming number of Harbies to kill off bricks. As well, MrSmith is massing T1 bombers to help drop those mobile shields right before he hits. All in all, a very effective strategy to deal with those Aeon forces. Mr. Embers has gone full-on interceptor production. He's now up to 33, although MrSmith does still have more. Embers is going to need to get a move on securing air control. He now holds both expansions. That is going to be great for him. It is interesting to see that both players are opting to use T3 mobile artillery. SpeedRun, both sides have their advantages in this manner. SpeedRun has the massive, devastating AoE. Believe it is 7, it may be 8. Extremely good at dropping mobile shields and doing high damage to a lot of units at once, just generally softening up the enemy force. We do see a GC headed south right here. And holy mother of speed build. Wow. 232 income, and he had a lot of mass in storage, throwing down that Monkey Lord in about 45 seconds total. That is awesome. He does have what looks to be about 20 bricks, looking at 21. 21 bricks and a Monkey Lord should be more than able to deal with this attack force over here. What I was saying earlier is the SpeedRun advantage is AoE on those T3 mobile artillery. Aeon advantage is that they're able to fire on the move. You can mix them into your army just like you would T1 artillery on a T1 force. These are able to move right along with your other units and lay down cover fire from the rear. That GC is running, taking some fire from those trebuchets. He has decided that he is going to push. I think that is a bad idea. He's going to get focus fired by this Monkey Lord and these bricks. Bada boom, down goes the GC, down goes the Monkey Lord, and now it is Harbies versus bricks, and the Harbies have no chance. Trebuchets backing up that T3 force. Oh man. There is a Soul Ripper almost done for MrSmith, and I have no doubt that he is going to be pushing T3 air in just a moment. Yes, there is the upgrade. Here comes the T3 upgrade, and we are going to be seeing ASF. There is such an enormous swarm of interceptors out, over 100 for Embers, but due to the flak on the ground, they're not going to be able to deal with that Soul Ripper. Flak, of course, obliterating any number of T1 and T2 air units. A second GC on the way, and here is a Caesar. That is an interesting choice considering the fact that Embers does not have T3 air and MrSmith does. He's going to be able to chase away those gunships, and now there is a megalith just over 50%. Soul Ripper coming in here. Looks like he is going to ignore the GC for now. Honestly, that's a pretty wise choice, and he's going to go after the Harbingers and the flak, and then any T3 mobile arty that he sees. Yes. ASF in undeniable control of the air, and he has that Soul Ripper up. This does not look good for Embers. Embers was doing a really good job of keeping MrSmith on his toes and then cleaning up those two expansions, but unfortunately MrSmith was able to get his eco down He was able to reclaim the things that Embers threw at him, and all in all pulled a brilliant little move. We have Loyalists going up north here. MrSmith has reclaimed a total of 66,000 mass as opposed to 38 for Embers. That is your victory right there, folks. That is the mass difference that let MrSmith pull that win. Embers, actually, I'm a little disappointed by that. Embers pulling the Control K, handing the game over to MrSmith, although I do see why he did it. MrSmith has total air control with a large number of ASF. There's nothing that Embers can do about that. He has the land control, huge swarm of bricks, along with a megalith that can kill any number of GCs that Embers is able to spam up at this time. And then add on top of that the fact that there is a Soul Ripper on the field. That is a decisive victory for MrSmith. Well played, both of you guys. I'm highly impressed with Embers being able to deny those Cybern run-bys and not take too much damage and stay in the game. MrSmith, as always, brilliant eco play, good reclaiming, and excellent use of your units. Alrighty guys, that is going to wrap it up for this cast. As always, thanks for watching, and if you have any replays, leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys.